So, from growing up in a military family, I've obviously had a wide range of experiences that I could pull from in writing this war story. But I wanted to make it a little bit more personal because this story really does, I feel like, represent how that experience of being in a military family has affected me on a personal level throughout my life. So the background behind all of this is that my dad did get deployed to Afghanistan, and he was supposed to be there for I think a year and a half, but he came back after about 5 months because my sister had a medical emergency at the age of around 3, and so instead of debriefing with his unit, he came straight home into yet another traumatic experience and didn't really get to process the grief and everything he saw with his unit. And that's something that we saw that is very important through the Grossman article last week. And so, from him being in Afghanistan, I often thought as a kid, like, where is he? And I kind of used my mom as a rhetorical device in this story to respond to that question, even though that is something that she did. Those aren't her exact words. And I also wanted to kind of highlight the strength of my mom in having to handle that question and handle it so well and explain it to a child. I also used fields throughout the story to kind of represent the child growing up and realizing like the different fields he's on. First it's the soccer field, then it's the battlefield, and then it's kind of the mental field inside of himself. And then the title of the story is probably the other biggest repetitive device that I use in the story. And that just kind of seemed like a natural phrase to use for me because that was often something that I wondered internally as I grew up, and even as a young adult. There were often things that my father could not attend just because it's a trigger to be in a enclosed space with, loud shouting and things like that. So it was even a big deal for him to even come to my graduation and things like that. So I just thought that the phrase kind of helped to show the physical distance and even the psychological distance between him and the child that was caused by having to experience being abroad as a soldier.